Well, guys, as you can see, we are back with another track guide. Now, I know that it's been a long time since the last track guide, but if you have been following the channel, then obviously you sort of know the situation as to what's going on. But with this year's track guide, we do have a special guest, someone who I believe is going to help you guys get even quicker at the game, way better than I can do it. We've got Otis Lawrence, who is one of Aston Martin Esports' new drivers, who's going to be driving with them in the F1 Esports season this year, and who better to learn from than one of the world's best, right? So as usual with these track guides, what we're going to do is I'm going to slow down the lap and give you guys as much detail as I possibly can based on the lap that Otis sent us, and then we're going to take a look at his lap. And I've even tried myself to do a lap based on these tips, and I actually managed to improve my time by a little under a tenth, which is not too bad. And it does show that even if you guys are struggling, if you try and watch these laps, if you try and apply what you see from these laps, you do actually gain time. And lastly, I am going to leave Otis's YouTube channel down in the description below. Make sure to give him some love and subscribe to his channel, and also support him during the F1 Esports season once that starts up. Okay then guys, so starting off the lap, as you always would do, you want to be as wide as possible to get the best exit you can off of the final corner. This is going to give you the most amount of speed going down into turn 1. Now for Bahrain this year, there's quite a few bumps on the track, and it seems as if, according to Otis' lap at least, the best way to avoid those bumps is to be as close to the right hand side wall as you possibly can. So you want to stay here until roughly the pit lane exit, and then that's when you want to start moving over to the left to prepare for turn 1. Now for turn 1, you're probably going to be around about here on your qualifying lap. In the race, it'll just depend on, what's going on. But here you want to start braking just before the 100-meter board, so around about 120 meters. And then you want to make sure that you're in a straight line. Now, with the angle that you're going to be at, it is going to send you a little bit wide, but this is perfect because you want to have the entry as wide as possible. So brake in a straight line, you'll be in 8th gear, down into 3rd gear, and you want to start turning at roughly the 50, well, just after the 50-meter board, sorry. And again, you want to make sure that by the time that you're turning, that your left-hand tires are on the curbing. This is going to give you the widest entry possible into turn 1. Now, turn 1, the esports drivers, they're able to sort of like drift into the first corner and gain a lot of time. Personally, I'm not really skillful enough to do that. So if you are, you can try it. If not, then it is what it is. I mean, the game's not realistic this year anyway, as it is any other year, really, to be honest. But yeah, moving on from turn 1, it's a little bit of a late apex because you want to sort of prepare for this flat out turn 2. Now for turn 2, you're going to be in 3rd gear, and you want to be sort of towards the middle of the track, but not too far into the middle of the track. So roughly around about here is where you're going to find yourself naturally. And again, smooth on the throttle. You want to make sure that you get to that point where you're flat out. And through turn 2, you want to use the bollard on the left-hand side as your sort of reference for how much of the track you can cut. However, if the bollard's not there, just to be a little bit more safe, then you're going to want to sort of just make sure that your right-hand tires are always on the track. Now, obviously, this corner is not going to be flat out in the race, especially towards the beginning. You're probably going to want to lift off a little bit just to make sure that the car is stable through that corner. But yeah. Use all of the track exit on turn 3, make sure you don't invalidate, and then open up DRS, of course. Now turn 4, you prepare it quite early if you want. You can be here or whatever's happening during the race, but I like to prepare it quite early. 8th gear, going into the corner, braking at the 100-meter board dead, straight line, and then you want to turn just as you're hitting the 50-meter board down into 4th gear here. Now this year, there seems to be a little bit of bumps on the end, on the exit of this corner, so you do want to be careful with the exit because you can get a lot of wheel spin and spin the car, and that will obviously cost you your qualifying lap. So yeah, the apex, pretty much just where the point of the curb that's sticking out the most is. That's where the apex is for this corner. So you want to hit it there, and then get your foot on the throttle. Sort of used as much as the track as you can to sort of straighten up the car as much as possible, just to make sure that the car is stable. But yeah, pretty much right-hand tires on the white line is pretty much the limit that you can go there. And then you can get yourself off the curb. And then that's pretty much the end of Sector 1. For this corner, you're going to be in 6th gear. And you want to use as much of the track on the left-hand side as you possibly can so that it can, set you up for the next sequence of corners. Because if you're too far to the right, then what's going to happen is you're going to have to slow down too much and you're going to lose time throughout this sort of like S section here. So you want to ride over the curb. Now in qualifying, probably not going to want to brake here at all. I'm kind of struggling with this corner myself personally, but as you can see from Otis's lap, he doesn't brake here at all. So obviously in the race you would do. And then as soon as you ride over this curb, that's when you want to sort of throw the car into the corner. He does it in 6th. I do it in 5th personally, just to keep the car stable. Just do what you find comfortable. This corner, I've had mixed laps, to be honest, so far when I've been trying out what Otis did. Sometimes it's quicker for me to sort of miss this curb or at least hit it with the left-hand tires. Other times, you know, you can ride over it and still, you know, sort of get that stability of the car, so it does gain you a little bit of time. You can see from Otis's lap, I think he does take it. And then this corner, you don't want to go too wide, because if the middle of the car bottoms out here, it's going to drag you out and you're going to invalidate your lap, or you're just going to lose a lot of time in the race. So just try and only use the right-hand tires on this curb, and then you'll be fine. Now this next hand corner, the blue patch after the Lenovo sign, that's where you want to brake at the end of that point. So right around about here is where you want to start braking. Now this is downhill, so you do want to be careful with this corner, as you know, it is downhill after all. So you're going to have less grip, you're going to have less sort of mechanical grip of the tires going into it, which means you have to start braking just slightly earlier and be a little bit more smooth on the braking. Brake in a straight line to minimize lockups, because obviously it's a lot easier with this type of corner. Just drift the car out wide. Again, this is for track entry, so that you can use the widest line possible and gain the most time possible. Downshift into 3rd gear. Be careful not to lose the rear on that curbing there. And then the apex is going to be slightly later, because the exit is more important of this corner rather than the entry. So the apex is going to be around about here, and that's when you get on the throttle. And then you want to be patient getting on the throttle. You can get a lot of wheel spin as you're going uphill a little bit here, so just be patient on the throttle. The grip will come to you, and when the grip does come to you, then obviously, you know, you'll gain that lap time. Use all the curbing on the exit. Now turn 9 and 10, obviously this corner is very, very tricky. One of the trickiest corners in Formula 1. Using as much of the entry curb as you possibly can here. You're going to be, I believe, in 6th or 7th gear, probably 7th gear, maybe even 8th gear, I don't know, I can't really remember right now. But I believe Otis starts braking as the apex for turn 10 actually comes into view, which is right around about here is where he starts braking. I don't know where I start braking personally. It's sort of more just a feel for how the lap's going and how the track's feeling, to be honest with you, for me. But obviously you guys can obviously slow down the lap from Otis and see what he's doing. Yeah, you're going to be turning the entire time, and it's downhill, so the chances of locking up at this corner is going to be a lot higher than any other corner on this track, or even, to be honest, on the entire calendar. So you want to be super patient with the braking, be smooth on the braking, and make sure that the car is going as straight as you can possibly get it, to just minimize the chances of locking up. Now you're going to downshift into 3rd gear for this corner, and then pretty much as soon as you're at the curb, naturally, that's when you're going to turn in for turn 10. So you'll turn in for turn 10 here, and then obviously the apex is pretty much right here where the curb sticks out the most. Get your foot on the throttle. Again, be patient, because this corner is quite tight and the exit can be quite tight as well. So you do want to try and be patient on the throttle, but you can use this curbing here to straighten up the car and just gain extra grip. You can't really do that in real life, but obviously on the games you can. And then you open up DRS, of course. This next corner is quite a fast corner. You're going to be in 8th gear. Want to brake sort of in between 100 and the 50 meter boards, around about here, 75 meters roughly. Using all the track on the entry, downshift into 5th gear for this corner, and then you want an early apex for this corner, because you pretty much want to hit the apex early and then get on the throttle as soon as you can, and just hope and pray pretty much that you don't run out of track. So the entry is more important for this corner, since it is a fast speed corner. Get your foot on the throttle as soon as you can, and then you can use as much of the curbing here as you want. Usually I think I try and just keep my right hand tires or just about over the curb with the right hand tires, because it can drag you out a little bit if you end up bottoming out on this corner, so do be careful with that. And then yeah, just try and set yourself up for the next corner. So this corner here, turn 12, is flat no matter, you know, what you're doing, whether it's the race, qualifying, it's flat. So pretty much in qualifying you want to ride over this curb. In the race I think you want to do the same, but I haven't really raced at Bahrain yet, to be honest, on this game. Now you're going to be in 7th gear I think for this next corner. Now the orange fencing that you see on the right hand side, as soon as that disappears from you, that is your braking point. So literally right here. is where your braking point is. And as soon as you start braking, as you can see, the corner kind of turns in quite quickly. So you do want to be turning into the corner as you're braking. It's not heavy braking. It's just like dab on the brakes, I believe. Probably 30 to 40% at most on the brakes for this one. And then 4th gear for this corner. Now, weirdly enough, the apex is not as late as you would think it is for this corner. So the apex is right around about here, and you want to start getting on the throttle quite early as well, because the exit is super important. And the more time it takes you to get on the throttle, the more time you're going to lose going down to the final set of corners. I believe Otis uses the bollard as his reference here, so you kind of want to just ride over this curb like this, and then just, you know, try and use all of the track that you can without invalidating, just to help the car get stable. Don't know what's going on with these screen freezers, man. But anyways, final corner, 8th gear, just after the 100-meter board. You want to use all of the track entry, as you pretty much do for every corner, to be honest. Breaking down into 4th gear. I believe in Otis's lap he does use the curb. Probably want to just miss that if you're not confident enough to use it, just for more consistency sake. So, but just get as close to the curb as you can with your right hand tires, and then boom, get on the throttle using all of the track on exit here. So pretty much you want to have your right hand tires on the white line, and then yeah, that is pretty much a slowed down lap of Bahrain. I'm going to play Otis's lap just to show you, you know, what an esports driver can do around this circuit. And then I'll show you a lap that I managed to get as well, which was a little bit quicker than sort of my previous laps at Bahrain that I did about a month or so ago, just based on sort of the information that I learned from Otis. So it does show that, you know, if you take a look at these esports drivers' laps and then try and apply it to your own laps, you do actually gain time.